Well, this just keeps getting crazier. We're learning more about the looming risks of Labor's disastrous Misinformation and Disinformation Bill. We're told today that Australians could potentially be jailed if they decide not to cooperate with misinformation hearings. Yes, we're going to be having misinformation hearings. A number of experts are raising the alarm because the full extent of the changes are largely unknown. We do know this, though. The Communications Minister will be able to order public hearings and investigations into so-called misinformation. These hearings cannot apply to individual social media users. However, anyone affiliated with social media companies and digital platforms will be liable. And if someone refuses to appear at one of these inquiries or refuses to cooperate without a reasonable excuse, they could be jailed. Yes, you heard correctly. Jail time. The leading media lawyer Justin Quill has told the Daily Telegraph the changes open up a Pandora's box. He says the Australian people should be very concerned about the government's attempts to curate public discussion and potentially punish those who step out of line. Well, bloody oath we should be. It is intimidating, and that's the point. Justin Quill says the legislation defines misinformation to mean anything that is reasonable, verifiable as false, misleading or deceptive, but by whose standards, he asks. Once they deem something false or misleading, they have the right to question people in investigations, and if someone doesn't cooperate, potentially jail them. Now, this should be scaring the life out of people. I mean, just have a think about some recent events, and you tell me whether it's crystal clear what's true and what's not. And keep in mind, we've all got to agree on this, everyone, because it's got to be black and white. So let me throw these questions out there. Who's responsible for all the bloodshed in the Middle East? Is nuclear power an affordable energy source? Did COVID vaccines cause serious side effects? Do male-born athletes have physical advantages over females? Now, I reckon I know the answers to a lot of these questions, but are my answers going to be the same as your answers? And if one of us is wrong, should one of us go to jail over it? The whole premise of misinformation and disinformation is fluid. And if you want any proof of that, it wasn't so long ago that the boss of the Federal Health Department couldn't even say for sure what a woman is. Remember when the Senator Alex Antic questioned Professor Brendan Murphy?
Can someone please provide me with a definition of what a woman is? Definition of a man, definition of a woman. Professor Murphy.
I think there are a variety of definitions, and I think
just a simple one.
Perhaps to give a more fulsome answer, we should take that on notice.
You're going to take on notice the question of what a woman is.
No, well, there are variety. It's a very contested space.
Can I take that on notice? It's a contested space, he said. The highest-ranking health bureaucrat in Australia couldn't give a basic definition of a woman. So maybe that's what the future looks like under Anthony Albanese, where everyone will be too afraid to say anything because if they're wrong, in Albo's eyes, someone could end up in prison. How are these powers going to be used? Who will they apply to? How far will the powers stretch? There are so many questions and so few answers. And the bottom line is, this is a disgraceful attack on free speech. Its aim is to intimidate, and it should be stopped.
Mike writes most weeks.